So Travis, when you first came here last August, when school began in September, one of the big changes for you in your pedagogy was that we were changing the teachers' approach to teaching by asking them to ask scaffolded questions and not give direct answers. So tell me a little bit about your process in making that switch yourself.
So when I came here, and I'm going to use my own kids for example, and I have a daughter who's 7, who socially is in the 1st grade, but is working at a level 2, almost level 3 now. She is extremely good at following directions, and when she's shown what to do and told how to do it, she can do it, which is a real shame. And I kind of created that, and not allowing her to think for herself. Because whenever she asked me how to do something, I told her. And so, in essence, she's learning there's only one way to do things, and that's not okay. So as I come here and I'm absorbing this model and everything that it encompasses, and getting kids to make their own decisions based on questions that I ask. And so I'm learning never to answer a question with an answer. I'm learning to answer questions with questions to get them to go where they want to go, but by themselves, not because where I tell them to go. And give them the opportunity to use their own minds to come up with the appropriate response and answers and directions, and then just facilitate that as a professional or a coach, if you want to say. So I just went through this. I subbed at a high school class this morning, a science class, where they have to generate their own untapped source of energy somewhere, something that's not been used, and create a mechanism to harness that energy and use it for something else. And so one student, I asked him what his project was, and it was using piano keys that will generate some sort of power. And I said, well, how much power does it need to generate? And his response, well, a lot. I said, well, why does it need to be a lot? Well, because I wanted to run the house. Well, how much power do you need to run a house? Well, I don't know. Well, find out. So he found out, and he said it took 1 million megawatts or something to that effect to run a house for a year. So then I said, okay, so how much do you need per day? So we had to figure that out. How much do you need per month? So how much power does one keystroke have to generate to be able to get to that number? And so I just kept firing out questions that got him where he needed to be, but he did it himself. So far more learning involved, and kids get to take ownership in that. So it's been a really interesting process, and what's amazing to me is 9 out of 10 times the student will get there on their own. And then I always end it, well, why did you ask me if you already knew the answer? And so it's amazing to watch that process.
So how have you managed changing the teacher's approach? What have you done or do you do to help teachers stop answering questions with answers?
So that in itself is a challenge, especially when you are dealing with people that have done things a certain way for a long time and truly believe that's the way it should be done. So my process has been, and it's been a slow one, is I pose questions to them. And I'm engaging them in those processes, so then when we have conversations about their kids, I can say, do you remember when we had this conversation and how we got there? It's been a struggle. Some of our teachers just don't have an open mind, I guess you could say. They're good people, and they truly believe in what they do, but now the question is what we are doing as good as it could be? So the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, if it ain't broke, can it be better? And so really that's the approach I've been taking. So what are we doing now? How do we make it better? What those processes are.
What about the definition of teaching do you think these teachers hold on to that you would like them to change? A teacher is, they think it's this, and you think it's this.
So I had that conversation with one of my teachers at the high school, and he always uses the term, they have to have the base knowledge. got to give them the base knowledge. And there's some truth to that. I mean, there's some things that need to be delivered to the students by the teacher. But my question is to him is, why do you always have to give it? And he just flat said, and was very honest, well, because I'm the professional. I'm the one. I'm the wealth of knowledge. I'm the one who knows. Which is, there's some truth to that. I mean, as a teacher, you're the one who should know the information. That's great. That doesn't mean you have to be the deliverer of all. And so that conversation with him has been, so pose questions to your kids to get them where they need to go. I can pull up anything on the internet and find out how to do something. I can get my base knowledge anywhere. So it's important that as I had conversations with these teachers to quit preaching. You don't have to stand up there and preach all the time. When asked a question, pose a question. Give kids something to work on and circulate around, and just be a coach. Give them the opportunity to think for themselves. This morning I had a kid ask me how much time was left in class. Okay? It's kind of funny, but this is kind of shows you where our high school is. He's used to someone saying, "Oh, you got 6 minutes." So my response was, "Well, what time is it now?" "Well, it's 8:52. What time's class get over?" 8:58. So how much time do we have left? "Well, we got 6 minutes." And then I said, "Well, then why did you ask me?" But they're so used to being delivered the information. Give me the answer. And so it's flipping that, and it's getting our teachers to quit being that person and just be the person that can challenge kids as he circulates or she circulates around and sees what they're doing, and then pose questions and challenge kids.
You've talked to me about flipping the model next year, and you have some teachers who want to try that. How will that assist the teachers in going from being the sage on the stage to the guide on the side?
Well, so if the information is delivered somewhere else at some time, some different time, they don't have to be up in front of the room to deliver that. And so now when the students come back, it's, here's what you went over last night, let's go. And now the teacher can circulate through, and the kids that get it, that want to move, can just keep moving, and the kids that need the help, that get stuck, can get the help that they need without anyone waiting. So if I'm a student who's stuck, and my teacher's helping somebody else, all I have to do is pull the lesson up online, watch it, or find that point where that information was delivered, and then I can use that so I don't ever really get stuck. So hopefully we can grasp the concept as that doesn't make our teachers less important. It doesn't make them less valuable, because as a coach, they're going to be extremely valuable because they do have that knowledge and they do have that understanding.
If you're going into interviews for new teachers in the summertime, if you could ask one or two questions that would help you weed out or kind of focus in on teachers who would be readily accepting of the Arlington model, what kinds of things would you ask them?
So I think one question that I'm going to ask is, what does your classroom look like? And just get an understanding of how they're going to present their classroom to me. And then I'm going to ask them what learning is. Because it's easy to score work, but it's not easy to assess learning. And we run into that battle a lot right now. So good, you did your work, you turned it in, you got your points, which is great. So you learn how to manage yourself. But the true question is, what are you learning from what you're doing? So that will be a next question, is how are you going to assess learning? And then a third question that will be important to me is, how do you get our kids to think critically?